Metal Yapı Konut and Akın Karalı. In order to deliver his speech, I would like to invite Ahmet Arslan, the Minister of Transport, Maritime Affairs and Communication of the Republic of Turkey. Distinguished guests, I would like to say good morning to each and all of you. I know that the summit is going on quite intensively, starting from the yesterday. Before I came here, I discussed with my friends for what I should speak. A good, indeed, text was prepared for me. Everybody indeed misthought that I was such an important economist and I would deliver such a highly technical economy presentations. But in such a meeting in which the experts of the economies are present, if I indeed pretend to be an economist, I believe that I'm going to make many mistakes. I don't want to make mistakes, so I believe everybody should speak about their own expertise. Of course, economy matters, and the evaluation of the economist matter as well. But we also know that economy, trade, and the main argument of such industry is totally correlated with the transportation and the communication. The investment that you are going to do in such fields will definitely have a huge impact on the sectors that I have just mentioned, and the investment that you do in the transportation and the communication will be the foundation of the sectors that I have just said to you. So within that regard, I really would like to speak what our ministry is doing. We want Turkey to be a place in which there is no problem in terms of accessibility and transportation, and I will try to present you how the investments in the transportations and the communications are serving to the development of the region, of our nation, and also on the global sense. Because we always define Turkey to be the bridge between the continents, and on behalf of Turkey, what we are contributing to the global economy will be the basis of my topic. I am active in the transportation sector for 40 years. And on a gradual basis, I have worked in different parts of the transportation sector. If you think about a big Lego, we indeed dealt with different teeny tiny parts of that Lego. But in the last 10 or 15 years, rather than focusing on the teeny tiny details, we are focusing on the big picture, or as according to my analogy, with the big Lego, and we want the different parts of the Lego to be harmonious with each other so that we will be able to develop and improve the industry, trade of our country so that the transportation will be the driving force for our economy. We are living in such a unique geography, and knowing that we are living in such a unique geography, we made our plannings according to that. Within the travel distance of 3 or 4 hours, of course through the air aviation, Turkey can reach up to 1.5 billion people, and the GDP of such region equal to $31 trillion. And this is our target market. We really would like to receive our share from this $31 trillion of market, and we, in order to receive a higher share from that market of $31 trillion of market, we are investing in the transportation and communication. I just gave you an analogy about a big Lego. Each part of our Lego is indeed facilitating the lives of the people, and these investments are indeed leading and boosting those economies, without forgetting that each city of the Turkey is one part of the big Lego. We are trying to establish an integration between our cities. We are thinking about 81 cities of the Turkey. We are thinking about 80 million of our citizens, but in a globalizing world, in a world where the boundaries are indeed lifted, it will be unlogical to target Turkey solely. That's why we are targeting a market of 1.5 billion people, and that's why we are trying to plan the transportation corridor in such a extended region. So those kind of investments will serve to the good of the country, to the good of the region, and to the good of the globe. That's why when I took the office, within the supervision of our president, we prepared a main transportation strategy. And of course, as we prepare the main transportation strategy, we worked closely with our team who was active in the transportation sector. But this team was not comprised solely with the bureaucrats, because a projection that you will create solely with the bureaucrats from the public side will not be successful. As a result, we also take private sector stakeholders, and we always keep saying that the universities and the real sector should be integrated each other. As a result of that, we collaborated and cooperated with the academicians from our universities. But we didn't only listen to our academicians, because our academicians knew theory very well, but when it comes to the practice, we also received the ideas of the private sector stakeholders. By collaborating with the different stakeholders, we prepared our main transportation strategy, and after that, one national and one international transportation congress has been organized in Turkey. By receiving their feedbacks, we try to indeed finalize our decision about the future investments in Turkey. And those ideas indeed were included in the 2023 goals of Turkey. Our general manager of the Post, Telephone and Telecommunication Department was the president of this indeed team, and we said to ourselves that the 2023 goals shouldn't be only limited to the transportation, because the energy and the irrigation systems also matter for Turkish 2023 goals as well. So we try to integrate all of those sectors together as we plan. So the goals of the transportation sector is not solely limited to that sector, because the goals of the transportation sector should also match with the sectors to which transportation sector is actually serving. That's why we indeed defined our target as turning Turkey to be one of the top 10 economies. And in order to realize that, we try to make some evaluations about the future export ratios and figures, and we also try to calculate our energy demands for the upcoming futures for such a growth. And As we defined 2023 goals, then the government also embraced this goal. Our president, who was back then the Prime Minister of the Republic of Turkey, personally embraced such goals, and these goals were defined as the goals of the Republic of Turkey and the goals of our citizens. That's why the main transportation strategy was prepared in alliance with the 2023 goals, and we are trying to implement those goals as possible as we can.
Of course, the road network is an indispensable part of our transportation system. So, as our country is a bridging location between the West and East, we improved our grid firstly by furnishing the Eastern Black Sea Highway project. We also had two main transportation hubs established in the north and east areas of Turkey. There are going to be four primary commercial axes going through our country. Other than that, we also have a project that is going to be tying the Black Sea region to Mediterranean. Additionally, the southern markets, the Middle Eastern markets in particular, are going to be reached through trade corridors, which will start all the way from Trakya region of Turkey to Kars in the easternmost parts of our country. In our road grid, 6 provinces of ours only had highway connections. Right now, we have almost connected all provinces to each other. Back in the day, double-lane roads were not a reality in most of the different regions. However, right now we are nearing the end of our road grid completion process. All parts of Turkey will soon be able to access the surrounding geographical regions through double-lane roads. The progress that we have made so far is known to our fellow citizens. But if you must know, back in the day, our double-lane roads spanned over about 6 kilometers. Right now, they have a span of 25,000 kilometers. In the meantime, we also had bituminous asphalt roads spanning over 8.5 thousand kilometers. We also increased the hot-pressed asphalt highways of our country to 21.3 thousand kilometers. These not only facilitate transportation on a domestic level, but on an international level too. However, road grid was not our only priority, because we have to think in the long run. Road transportation is not the only mode of transportation that will define the commercial and domestic activities of a country. In that regard, the road transportation grid was complemented with the railway network. After the year 2002, the railway network became one of the top agenda items of the state once again. So, since then, we have increased the standard and quality in our railway network of 10,000 kilometers. We conducted modernization, refurbishing, and rehabilitation studies. over the current infrastructure. We also realized the importance of electricity-powered trains rather than the old conventional systems. Signaling systems were improved on top of that in order to improve the transportation quality. Almost all transportation routes on the railway network were refurbished, and our electricity-powered railway network was almost doubled. However, we all know that it will take some time till we use these new technology trains in all of our grids. All of our trains should be converted into electricity-powered models. That is still in progress. However, currently the good news is that right now the railway network is able to take you anywhere in Turkey, especially those areas where you can find culturally enriching experiences. Our express high-speed trains already travel to different cities. I think the information I have is right. In Europe, we are the sixth high-speed train operator and we are ranked 8th in the world. Eskişehir, Kocaeli, Istanbul, Konya are some of the cities which are easily accessed through high-speed trains. These are large metropolitan cities, and it is a great step towards making them accessible to other citizens living in other cities. But if the grid is not spread over the entire country, the goals that we have set for the future will probably be lagging behind. Therefore, we are looking forward to creating an holistic system that will be going all the way from Edirne to Kars, the two ends of our country from the west to the east. Our goal is to make this line uninterrupted. So, as an additional effort, the Marmaray project, which connects the European and Anatolian sides of Istanbul under the Bosphorus. Right now, a train that departs from London should also be able to pass through our soil and reach Azerbaijan and all other eastern countries. The Baku-Tbilisi railway line, which is still in progress, is going to make sure that this is applicable too. We are working on new routes where we will establish better connections around the Black Sea region too. In the meantime, we realize that the Aegean and Marmara regions still require integration in terms of connecting the railroad and road grids. In the southern section of our country, a primary port is located in the city of Antalya. That one is not yet accessible through a railway system. So we are working on a project which will connect the grid to Antalya, Elazığ, Diyarbakır, Mardin, Gaziantep, Urfa, Adana, and Mersin are going to be the next targets for our high-speed express train lines. Project work still is on the way, and they are going to receive a connected experience very soon too, because we are not concerned only with being connected to Europe, but also to the Far East and the eastern countries that are our neighbors. You may establish an integration between railway and road grids. However, in a country like Turkey, where you are surrounded with the sea, maritime transportation matters a lot too, because we have overseas trading partners which we have to access easily. This is why we are attributing a lot of importance to seaports. In the maritime sector, rather than public investments, we are encouraging private sectors in order for them to engage in various investments. So in the private sector, a lot of port investments have already taken place. Some private sector representatives are already among us. In the northern Aegean region, we have the Chandarlı port, for example, that is being worked on. That will establish connection between Europe and Asia, due to the fact that we will soon be establishing railway connection to the area too, so as to reach our goals set for the year 2023. Let's say all of this has been achieved. This time you need to require investments. You need to attract them. But an investor would like to make sure that there is constant effort to boost commerce in the country. They need to see you working. Also, if they are to engage in activities both domestically and abroad, they have to find transportation facilities. For that purpose, we increased the number of our airports to 55 in Turkey. In 2002, 35 million passengers, domestic and foreign, were passing through Turkey. Right now we are serving 180 million passengers. And this is not going to be it. We will not be content with that. In the next period, we are targeting for another objective. We would like to have at least small or medium scale airports in every single city in Turkey. This is one of our objectives for the upcoming period. Of course, if you want to claim shares from international trade, we have to mention that we have already made a big move by building the third bridge on the Istanbul Strait. While we were building the Istanbul-Izmir highway, we were thinking about facilitating transportation. The Osman Gazi Bridge already became a significant step towards establishing that. The regional settlers, the citizens, already benefit from these transportation facilities, but they also play a larger role in the international trade arena. In order to ease the traffic load on Istanbul, we also created the Eurasia Tunnel, which decreased a travel time that used to take 2 hours to 15 minutes right now. In the meantime, we have to think of this together as a whole, and it should be understood that your cargo, your freight should not really be loaded into one place where you will be congested, or else you will be experiencing what we call a bottleneck. So we are planning on building another bridge in the region of Çanakkale, and on the 18th of March, its foundation has already been laid. Public funds can be utilized for projects like this one. However, when you rely on public funding, it takes a really long period of time. In order to boost growth of our economy, we realized the importance of the private sector, so the build, operate, and transfer model was implemented successfully in the road grid, in maritime affairs, and in aerospace industry and aviation services. This allows us to create and realize our objectives as soon as possible without any delays. In the meantime, we also achieved another thing. We actually utilized the ability of private sector to do things rapidly in order to tackle public issues. So I should make an emphasis on the build, operate, and transfer model. The companies in our country are no longer just construction companies. They also operate what they build. This creates additional capacity. Gladly, we observe that this capacity is not limited to our country only. A lot of people present in this room already engage in efforts to also bring the same model to abroad in their operations. There is also one more thing. Large-scale firms, when they engaged in large-scale projects like this, also made sure that former contractors, small-scale companies, also grew in scale due to the fact that they also have to undertake more burden as part of such large projects. The city hospitals model is another successful project that is a good example of our private-public partnership efforts. And these hospitals are becoming a successful model for the healthcare sector too. The energy sector is inspired too. We are going to utilize the same model there as well. Let's say you have achieved all of this. Investors easily access your country, any city they want, by taking a flight that takes only 3 to 4 hours. But in order for that to be a sound and robust process, you have to make sure informatics and communication infrastructures are really powerful too, so that you don't only monitor and watch the world, but revolve with it. We have 3 primary GSM operators, and they simultaneously generate projects with the world for our country, but they don't limit or restrict themselves. They have big ideas and projects. They created some successful examples in Turkey, and they are also implementing the same in neighboring countries and in the countries in the vicinity. So naturally, when it comes to my field of work, you have to establish development not only in transportation, but also in technology and informatics. That is a fact that we cannot ignore. Currently, we have about 70 million mobile subscribers and over 60 million subscribers for broadband connection. Regardless of what you are going to do with it in the social life, in the business life, or in education, broadband connection is a really important requirement of our daily lives right now, and we are succeeding in terms of meeting the demand. About 11 months ago, we transitioned from 3G connection infrastructure to 4.5G at the same time as the rest of the world. Our operators did a mighty fine job in terms of achieving that too. The relevant departments of the ministry supported them, of course. If I'm not mistaken, right now we have 46 million 4.5G subscribers. And out of those who have devices compatible, 20 million of them actively use 4.5G. connection. For the year 2023, our target is to adopt 5G, which is a faster technology. And this should not be thought of as a separate thing than communication and transportation. Well, we are successful already in aviation, but I don't think we have much of a presence in aerospace industries. Recently, we have started discussing the establishment of a space agency in Turkey, where we will also be able to manufacture satellites and launch them. Let me go back to the beginning.
As we prepared the main transportation strategy of Turkey, we aim to facilitate the lives of our citizens, but at the same time, we also try to receive a bigger share from the region that we are present. In order to increase the share, our share, we established important transportation corridors, and one of the most important of them is the establishment of the third airport in Istanbul, and their capacity will be about 200 million on an annual basis. And people might say that 200 million people cannot fly over Istanbul since the Turkish population is already 80 million, but we totally disagree. We are trying to develop projects which will definitely serve to the global needs. In the aviation sector and also in the railway sector, we started a liberalization process, and we want our companies to compete in the global markets and compete with the private sectors. And we want our companies in those sectors to be global competitors and actors on the global market. We have many important guests from all around the world. Competition matters in the global world. Competition matters in the global trade. But as you compete, you should focus and you should target to be better than your competitors, and you should act accordingly. Rather than hindering your competitors, rather than trying to eradicate your competitors, you should try to be better than your competitors. But that's what the foreign companies do, because we have global brands from Turkey, and rather than saying that we should be better than the Turkish companies, they just try to trip up the Turkish companies. They just try to hinder the Turkish companies. But unfortunately, the majority of our friends did their best to prevent the growing Turkish economy, and they used indeed the terrorist organization in order to prevent the Turkish economic growth, because they thought that if we can really enable the terrorist organization to make some troubles on the Turkish economy, they thought that our success will be even greater. I'm sad to say all of those facts. But such terrorist organizations that you are using is not serving to the welfare of the humanity, then all of a sudden these terrorist organizations will come back and attack you, and it will really present negative results for you as well. That's why I keep saying that it doesn't matter from where the terror is coming, the religion, ethnicity doesn't matter. We should fight against the terrorist organization everywhere. And if we have to take some precautions, we have to take those precautions, not only in Turkey, but such precautions should be taken anywhere else in the world. You are indeed encountering with the fact that 8 airports, in which Atatürk Airport is also included, a new type of security precautions are put into practice. We respect it, because the security of our citizens is much more important than the comfort of traveling. But if you are taking those precautions only in a single place, and if you are not taking the same precautions in other places, then it is indeed not logical, and we indeed doubt that there are other reasons for taking such precautions. We should develop the global economy together, and we should compete on just and equal basis. From a region which produces terrorism, those terrorists might go to USA or to London, and security precautions should be taken as possible as we can. But we shouldn't have some secret goals pretending that we are taking security precautions. And the unjust competition should not be the result of such unjust precautions. You know, the civil aviation is ruled by is indeed managed by the rules of the IATA. And Turkey is indeed implementing additional precautions which have been already set forth by the IATA. And we always keep saying that we are ready to implement the additional precautions that you are willing to set forth. But those precautions shouldn't be limited to the Turkey only. Those precautions should be implemented in the other places as well. So a terrorist from the Middle East can give harm to the United States of America, but the same terrorist might give the same harm if he or she is traveling from Frankfurt as well. So the same precautions should be implemented in the Frankfurt, in Istanbul as well. We are not putting those precautions only on paper, but in reality we are also implementing those precautions. The essential part of the economy and trade, and also the essential part of the welfare, social welfare, is transportation and communication sector. We have a saying, Turkey should be a country which is accessible for all of its citizens, and Turkey should be accessible to the whole region, not only to our national citizens. You might be present in many different places, and I really make a call for you to fight against the unjust competition. Of course, the Turkish businessmen should work for the interests of their country, but we should develop the global economy by serving to the global welfare of the world citizens. But with the unjust competition, this will never be a reality. On behalf of the Ministry of Transportation, Maritime Affairs and Communication, this is our understanding about the global trade, and that's how we are implementing our projects. As I would like to reiterate once again, we are indeed realizing PPPs, the public-private partnerships, and we never forget that the private sector is one of our stakeholders. The PPP model that the world is still discussing is actually implemented in Turkey with the great examples. The public sector and the private sector do not see each other as the competitors. If the public sector and the private sector see each other as their solution partners, then the solutions for the needs of the humanity will be developed much more easily, and it will prepare the solid ground for the businessmen to indeed improve their businesses. That's all what I would like to say. Thank you very much for listening. I wish you a successful economy summit. I hope that this summit will be proven successful. Thank you very much.